welcome everyone. I know we always have a few more folks kind of join in as it's 101 here, but want to get us started because we have two really fabulous presentations and community learnings and insights to share with you all today. So welcome again at our 60 by 25 conference here. We are going to be talking in this session about regional partnerships and investments in essential skills development. And we have two fabulous presenters here, Courtney and Dawn, who are going to share with you about some efforts in their region and their community. Throughout the presentations, if you all have questions, please feel free to put those in the chat as we go. We can address those. Presenters can see them, and as you put them in, maybe they'll respond to them right away, or maybe they'll hold to kind of after each of their presentations to address those questions. But please feel free to do that. We are going to create space too for you to unmute yourself kind of in between Dawn and Courtney sharing and ask some questions out loud too. But please use that chat heavily in there. And we'd love to know too who's here today, right? Put in your chat, introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from, what your role is. And that can help us kind of think through too as we're sharing insights today. But welcome on again. I'm Heather Penzak. I'm the Director of Innovation and Implementation at Education Systems Center, one of the organizers here for the network, and just loving the conference. Day 3, we were talking right before we started. I feel like the intro song, if you heard it, was perfect, right? We've got sunny days. Weather is above 50, I think, all throughout Illinois. Courtney's very lucky to have some 60s in their region. But it's a beautiful day, and just excited again for Dawn and Courtney to share with you. So with that, I'm going to share my screen here and turn it to Dawn and Courtney to introduce themselves, and then we'll dive into the content.
Sounds great. Thank you, Heather. Courtney, you want to kick us off with introduction?
Yes, thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Heather, so much. We are excited to be present with you all here on today. It continues our work in the arena of tension and promise, where the different dimensions of the human experience meet and shape one another. So we're extremely excited to share with you all essential skills, the way that we see it and how it's affected, beautifully affected, not just our colleges, but companies across the state of Illinois and beyond for the most part. I'm Reverend Courtney Carson, Assistant Vice President of External Affairs here at Richland Community College, and I'll hand it over to my colleague, Sister Dawn Koeltzow.
Thank you, Courtney. Yes, hello, everyone. So glad that you're here today and that we can discuss essential skills. My name is Dawn Koeltzow, and I am Workforce Equity Project Director at Illinois Central College here in sunny Peoria, Illinois. And Heather, if you want to advance us a slide. Courtney and I know each other, we're wonderful colleagues through the Workforce Equity Initiative. And I'm not sure if you're all aware of this initiative. It's a statewide grant, $18.7 million a year grant. There's been 19 colleges participating on the grant, and it's administered by Illinois Community College Board. And so we just love participating on this wonderful initiative, and you can learn more about the consortium of colleges and everything that the grant does by going. We have our own special consortium website. It's illinoiswei.org. And then if you advance the slide, the main objective of the grant is to provide high skill, high wage outcomes for underrepresented individuals living in poverty. And we've served about 3,200 students a year for each of the grants. And we have some requirements that ICCB has laid out for us. We must have at least 60% participation of African Americans on the grant. This is a grant that was championed by our Illinois Legislative Black Caucus. In the first year, we achieved 76% African American participation, so we are extremely proud of that. We're also required to work on high skill, high demand training programs that would yield 30% above the living wage jobs, employment. And we've been achieving that in the year 1 grant and also in the year 2 grant. what was so cool about this grant, ICCB, that first year that it came out, it recommended that we include essential skills training for all of the WEI participants. They had heard loud and clear from employers that the technical skills, that wasn't enough, that the individuals also needed soft skills to be successful on the job. And so ICCB gave us that first year, it was recommended, and then in year 2, it was required that we all have essential skills training. And they included it again in the year 3 grant. So if you advance the slide, here's the list of the participating community colleges on WEI. So you're going to hear from Illinois Central College, their approach towards including the essential skills and meeting that requirement that's now been set. And then you'll get to hear from Courtney on Richland's very developed program, because they had been doing it for quite a while. So we share, we have community of practice, and through our consortium, we share best practices. And so we're all kind of learning from each other, and Richland is definitely a leader in this field. So if you go to the next slide, at ICC, what we did right after we got that first year grant, and we knew that we needed to start to develop this essential skills, we had some things in place, definitely through our workforce readiness classes and things like that. But we set out to do a very aggressive, collaborative approach to create a regional essential skills system. And it's called GPEAK. It stands for Greater Peoria Essential Abilities and Knowledge. What does it do? It basically measures, validates, and serves. It measures, we have assessment tools, a pre-assessment, a post-assessment, a final mentor assessment. And so all of that has been developed with the help of regional employers and organizations. We encourage reflective learning, growth and development of essential skills. That's a very important piece to GPEAK. And then we validate, so we have badges that we award and certifications. And then we're serving our community with GPEAK. So everything is free and open use. Kind of amazing that we've been able to pull this off. It's open to employers, educational partners, and community-based organizations in our region, plus also the WEI colleges. We presented to them and share the resources. If anyone is interested in using them, they can use them as well. And then if you go to the next slide. So we are very fortunate in the Peoria area to have a regional workforce alliance. When we set out to do this massive collaborative approach to an essential skills system, we went to our RWA, as we call it, and that's where we could quickly and easily arrive at 85 community members that served on our committees to create the GPEAK resources. We also have these wonderful lead partners, so Jobs for the Future, they were involved, along with Northern Illinois University Education Systems, Ed Systems. Heather Pensack is our lead consultant on the project. Illinois WorkNet, our colleagues at Southern Illinois University, helped us as well. And then if you move forward to the next slide. So at the base of our system, of our essential skills program, there's 10 competencies that we focus on, and they were based on the CCPE document, the recommended technical and essential employability competencies. Jobs for the Future had worked on that along with NIU Ed Systems. So when we went to them to help us with this process, it was of course a natural fit that we would start with those 10 competencies that are found in that document. Then the unique part, and the part that's important for students, is that we had our local regional employers tell us what these 10 competencies look like in the workplace. And so our performance indicators, the behaviors, the description of the competencies, that's all done at the local regional level. And that's what we can, help the students understand. This is what our local employers are saying. this is the list of the employers that helped create this document. And that's the real selling point to the students, because they want to pay attention to what these local employers are saying, that the skills that are desired by candidates. And so if you go forward to the next document, here you can see 4 of the competencies that we focus on with GPEAK. We work on teamwork, adaptability, cultural competence, communication. These are just the 4. And then underneath that are the performance indicators written by our local regional employers. So you can imagine we have training cohorts. We'll have a workforce readiness class. We'll have a GED prep class at ICC. We have community-based organizations, and they're running like a 10-week cohort from individuals in the community that they're working with on essential skills. And we try to get them to focus in on just a couple of the competencies instead of covering too much, because we want them to use a career development approach with the individuals going through GPEAK. And we want them to take the time to have good conversations and to make meaning on what these skills look like in the workplace. And so you can imagine we have all these curricular materials, reflective resources that will have like a case study and reflective prompts. There's videos and articles that they can look at, and then there's reflection questions. And so we're trying to help an individual through a narrative style, through a career development approach. We're trying to have an individual think back on a high school experience, think back on a class that they've had, think back on a volunteer experience that they've had, or a job, and think back on when they've used these competencies, if they have some ability, are interested in doing them, because those are the things that you really want to hone in on with an individual, is to get at their skills, their abilities, their interests. And you want to help them understand the employer language, which are these performance indicators. And you want to help them translate that employer language to their own resumes, or to their interviewing answers, to their job seeking materials and things like that. So that is that career development process. And that's how we're using our assessment tools and the curricular materials that are based on GPEAK. If you go to the next slide, there's 3 more. So these are the last 3 of the 10 competencies that we focus on. And the beauty of having well-designed materials all together, the assessment tool matches the curricular, the training materials. And so all the training materials are aligned with the assessment tools that match these performance indicators and competencies. Okay, next slide. So there's many benefits to going through the process for students, for individuals. As I mentioned, kind of just a self-awareness of, wait a minute, I like when I do activities, and I like when I do teamwork. I do have skills. I've been a part of community, volunteer positions or athletics or different things like that. And I am good at that. And so you're helping an individual come up with that language that they can then help promote themselves to the employers on. And so that confidence that they've done these skills, that these are what employers are looking for, that's the major benefit, is raising that self-awareness and that confidence level for an individual. You can also kind of help an individual think through, boy, I really haven't had any experiences where I've done some planning and organizing. Maybe I do like that. Maybe I need to try to do so, And so you can also help think through with an individual on, I'd like to go for more experiences where I help develop these skills. Another benefit, we have these fun digital badges that we offer. This is, not the major benefit of going through the program, but just a fun, affirmative way to say that an individual has reflected on this, is confident, is gaining their confidence in this area. And so we have certificates that we provide, and then we have a badger platform that has the digital icon. and then they can easily share through social media or on their student email signature line and things like that. Then if you go to the next slide. So as I mentioned, GPeak resources free and open use, and they're also quite flexible to be used at the high school level, at community college level. They can be used for professionals in an already working with an employer, with interns, co-ops. We have a massive Google folder of reflective learning curricular materials. They were designed by Northern Illinois University Center for P through 20 Engagement. They're awesome. And the beauty of them, they're Word documents that you download and you edit as you see fit. So you can, as an instructor, you can add different language up on the top, you can pull some things off, you can add things, and it's very nice materials. We're working on simplified training materials for employers. We have assessment tools in Qualtrics, which is very easy, confidential. It's like a beefed up Survey Monkey type of style, but it's confidential. It's very, very nice tool. And then we have a full platform in Illinois WorkNet. So we want to eventually, anyone that's using GPeak, we'd like to move them to that full platform. It takes a little while to get you going with everything, but really there's some beautiful career development tools in Illinois WorkNet. And so the use of GPeak in Illinois WorkNet is quite nice. And then we do our Badger digital badges in community practice. So here's a picture, GPeak sites. Oh, you can go ahead, Heather. Here's a picture of a GPeak site. So Peoria Park District is using GPeak with their interns. Picture on the left, small cohort. They're covering planning and organizing. They just do like 2 badges at a time. And then how lovely. I'm so happy with the picture on the right. It just kind of says it all. A student growing their awareness, their confidence on 2 of the competencies, showing the certificates, the earned certificates there. And it just says so much to me to think that how the student has probably just so much more aware of the skills needed in the workplace, but how she probably already has quite a few of them and hopefully has the desire to even gain more experience to develop the competencies at a higher level. And then if you go to the next slide, this is another great photo. So we use GPeak in our readiness, our workforce readiness classes, and with our WEI students. This photo, some of our staff, our directors are on the left, and then we have our WEI students, readiness students on the right. And yes, right in the middle, Governor Pritzker, how cool is that? He was on our campus a few weeks ago and got to meet with the students. And so these are just kind of some closing comments. I think I've mentioned these throughout, but just in closing, how I think covering essential skills, using a career development approach as you're teaching essential skills can really be empowering. I think reflective learning materials hits the student where they're at. And so you can use these resources to be able to engage with a student that has had no work experience, or you're able to engage with a student that has had many years of work experience. And I cannot emphasize enough the art of the facilitation and the coaching. It's all about the instructor's ability to show empathy, build trust with the small cohort, create time on the syllabus for open discussions and dialogue. We try to emphasize and encourage a narrative style, storytelling style, where a career development approach where you're asking the individual to talk about, have you ever had an experience where you use these skills, and letting them share their examples and talk about that. It makes meaning of what they've done in the past and makes meaning for, future opportunities and how they want to develop those skills for the workplace. And then the importance of the developed shared language, translating that employer speak to what it means to me and how I'm going to be able to share that I do have these skills and I am ready for, a next great position. And then increasing pride in oneself, just like that last picture of the student holding up her 2 certificates. And whenever, as a career advisor, when you work with students, many times, they set out that I'm not looking for a job. I'm not looking for an internship. I'm not looking for anything. But the more that you get in and discuss these things, hopefully the end goal is that you're helping them move forward with going after that next opportunity to gain more experience and more skills. So that's all I have from our side. Heather, do you want to pause for any questions in chat or?
Yeah, we can definitely pause there for a moment if you have something top of mind with what Dawn shared here before we move to Courtney, or keep them in your mind as after we hear from Courtney as well. See anything in the chat, but I welcome you all as well to unmute or any pieces like that too. Hearing none. Seeing none, I'm going to turn to Courtney here. But again, if you have questions, they bubble up for you, please put those in the chat and, Dawn can respond or we can save those here till the end as well. But Courtney?
If I was to open up with the commercial, I would say enrich technical skills plus essential skills equals changed lives. Thank you so much for having me, Sister Heather. Sister Dawn, that was a remarkable presentation of what we do as it relates to in reflecting essential skills. Dawn has been such a champion of essential skills. When we began the particular work a long time ago, we wrote some legislation for Senator Koeltzow, and then the Black Caucus took that. The Black Caucus, I believe, put it in the ICCB hands. They put it in Don Koeltzow hands, and now we have this remarkable thing called the Workforce Equity Initiative, and Don is a phenomenal leader in that arena, and I'm pretty sure much more, but I know that for sure she's been such a great help in the workforce equity scope of things. So again, you can click the slide, please. As we know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Click slide, please. But in some rare cases, in some circumstances, you should not only lead the horse to water, and if we're talking about equitable opportunities, you should show that horse how to drink the water, or else that horse will be left with a temporary fix and will always be in need of water, because opportunity without equity is stagnation. Click slide, please. And although it seems to be common sense for one to learn the behavior of drinking water, but what is common to the world today is no longer common to those that we teach, supervise, and employ. And it's hard to expect common sense, especially from those who have never seen or experienced common sense. So we can agree that the world is changing and that many people lack the capacity and the ability to apply sound logical judgment to challenging issues. Common sense is still common sense. It's just that today, it's no longer being practiced by so many. So what we've been able to perfect at Richland Community College is taking the common competencies or life skills, if you will, that are essential to the growth and development of people, and couple those life skills with multiple trauma resilient practices that allow people to regulate their adverse childhood and adult experiences. And then we amalgamate those two functions with the ultimate goal of teaching and practicing effective job skills. Please click slide. We also utilize the 10 life skills competencies or measurements, if you will, time management, communication, digital, social engagement, public safety, or public speaking, accountability and decision-making, adaptability, flexibility, workplace skills and etiquette. Please click slide. But what Enrich has been able to do here at Richland Community College is measure an individual's application of the essential skills and knowledge needed for entering the particular workforce. It inspires participants to reflect on their own growth and development, and authenticate and communicate the information in a manner that's recognized by the employers. What makes our measurements just a little bit different is that we have 2 or 3 subparts to each component, including a physical activity outside the institution that serves as a direct application of how students regulate their parasympathetic nervous system while practicing a certain targeted measurement. Click slide, please. So I want to talk about trauma just a little bit. We all know that trauma associated to your plastic brain produces toxic stress, and toxic stress permits one the desire to want to alter or fix, or in some cases relive that experience. Please click the slide. When your parasympathetic nervous system is activated in your body, it sends certain signals to your brain. And if you don't have the skills to regulate or balance your brain's activity, you could respond in a way that is harmful to you or the subject that serves as the trigger. So how does this relate to employment? Please click the slide. So we're able to train employers. We've been able to train employers on how to balance their own parasympathetic nervous system, or teach employment places, their supervisors, how to regulate and balance those who work for the company through our trainer-to-trainer process. This will help transform the organization's culture into one where people heal and move beyond their trauma, move beyond their pain and their indifferences, and build skills of resilience to overcome adversity. Many people don't want to say it, but we know there's a lot going on in institutions and organizations. But however, through these particular trainings, your staff and professionals will learn to view its prized possession, which are people, through a trauma-informed, resilient-focused lens, and learn to utilize tools and resources to help the company flourish. Through this training, you are able to provide a safe place of belonging so that employees and employers have the capability to independently master the task, the job, and the skills, and then practice a level of generosity toward their counterparts. It's proven and it works, and it's been a beautiful process thus far. It's changed the culture of Richland, and it's changed so many companies that we've been able to interact with or partner with. Please transition the slide. So, and these are old slides. The numbers look a lot different today. They look a lot greater. As you know, that percentages fluctuate, but ours fluctuate for the better, it seems. So in this area, it's been my experience that we don't have a problem with people not wanting to go to work. Indicator, I heard even the mayor say, people just don't want to go to work. So we don't have that problem because we have multiple people coming to into our program. Sister Dawn will tell you, we've sent her a report where we served 231 individuals. 75% of those individuals were African-American. 90% of those individuals receive employment within a week of graduation. 55% of those individuals in our latest report was ex-offenders. But we don't have a problem with people not wanting to go to work. We have a problem with people not knowing where to look for those people who want to go to work. And the retention rate in this area is seemingly dark and scarce, because ultimately for the past year, we have taught an already socially awkward society how to be socially distant. And for the last 20 years, between the K through 12 system and an individual home life, we have been extremely successful at devaluing moral ethics and the integrity of anything that doesn't look like a four-year university. So the attitude toward manufacturing, construction, healthcare, and any frontline service have been swallowed by the proverbial narrative that these career fields aren't as lucrative as others. And that's a problem. And coupled with a culture that shifts just as fast as a new blockbuster hit plagued by political banter, leaving humans in a catatonic state. So we decided to respond to the way we interact with one another as human beings. Please transition the slide. So each session, we practice the circle of courage. The circle of courage is a indigenous practice that has been handed down for 16 generations. The circle of courage is a model of positive growth and development based on the universal principle that to be emotionally healthy, all people need, everybody needs a sense of belonging, mastery, independence, and generosity. And belonging, if we were to read the slide, is ultimately getting to know individuals, find out their likes and dislikes, explore what they need, and how do they feel most supported. Mastery is the competence in traditional cultures. Opportunity for, you have to give individuals an opportunity to master something, and it just makes for a great, well-rounded individual. You can click the slide, please. So in this particular arena, I opened up with how we interact with individuals. We take their insecurities, their greatness, their failures, their successes, and put it ultimately in a kind of ball, and we bring these people together. And this method have literally changed lives and has had a significant impact on not just our community, but this particular institution at Richland Community College. We serve the misguided but promising youth, young adults, underemployed, displaced workers, high school graduates, college graduates, and ex-offenders, drug users, drug dealers, and killers, coupled with trust fund children. And I like it like that. I like everybody to come together in one room and let's find out how do we work great together. And we ultimately trigger our participants on purpose so that they can, and allow them to identify where their parasympathetic nervous system has been activated, where their stress, where their angst, where they feel it at, because ultimately trauma is not a head issue, it's a body experience. So once I learn my own body, I'll learn how to balance that or regulate that. So we teach our participants how to regulate in a classroom setting. And we would like the classroom setting to have this diverse pool of people, because that's what it looks like on a job, or when you're at work at, or when you go shopping at Walmart or at Kroger's. We're not a second chance training, simply because we don't necessarily consider ourselves that, because there's not a second chance aisle when you go shopping at Walmart. Those who need a second chance don't go to one aisle. Everybody uses the same aisle, so everybody utilize the same space at Richland Community College. And it's working. And our companies, they're extremely happy and proud of the results that they receive. They trust us to produce and develop great people so that those people can go into their companies and develop the best product. And it's been working gracefully and phenomenally, whether it's the K-12 system, manufacturing companies, construction companies, and mental health organizations. And we just received a $3.2 million award from Decatur Memorial Hospital to utilize our essential skills within their company as well. And we're in most manufacturing companies practicing this same style of introducing individuals to a new way of seeing life and seeing other individuals as human beings. But however, I'm kind of biased towards what Don and I do. So it'd be, I'm gonna always say it's great. So if you will, please take a look at this video that will showcase some individuals that have went through our process. And I wanna say that I didn't pay them to say what they said. They were put on the spot in an interview process. So please take a couple of minutes, 2 or 3 minutes to look at this video.
Let me know if there's no sound coming through for some reason.
I didn't know what I wanted to do after high school. Reverend Courtney Carson introduced me to the trade schools class. I ended up going to Richland and graduated from trade school with 6 different certifications.
Originally, when I came down here to Decatur, it was a little rough. I couldn't get a job, so I felt like any blank spaces on my resume would kind of hinder my progress. So I saw the ad for industrial skills, so I was like, hey, if I can't fill in the blanks with a job, I might as well go to school and get some type of, training under my belt.
Growing up, I had a kind of a rocky life. Right before I came to Richland, I had did 8 years in prison for a drug charge. I was, raised in an area where I wasn't used to seeing, the person working at Caterpillar. I'm used to seeing the people who's public aid assistant. That was kind of outside of the norm for me, a regular job, getting paid good money.
I've always wanted to drive a truck. After 25 years of farming, we lost the farm, and I needed to recreate my life.
The workforce development had a grant to offer a class to help me to get employment, change my career. So I chose to go to Richland.
One of the things I liked about Industrial Trade Skills School was it was hands-on. Everything we did was hands-on.
It teaches you things like as far as craning and rigging, welding, machining. So the jobs that are around Decatur that actually pay the the good money, that you can retire from, all the jobs that require those type of skills. They actually teach you a little bit of each one. It helps you like, okay, yeah, I really like this. This is something I can see a career in.
The essential skills teach you how to articulate yourself, but also be yourself. It helps you know how to prepare for job experiences, how to communicate during job interviews, how to dress, how to be, job ready. It made me feel like I had a family where I didn't have family. And from that class, my family got bigger because they helped me get here.
The class that I liked the most and the class that helped me out the most was the essential skills class, where they taught you and helped reiterate being on time, being professional, making sure that you do the things that you're supposed to do on a daily basis.
Knowing Reverend Carson, the essential skills part, it was goosebumps. His words of wisdom, have you standing on your feet. We used to do the chant.
He would ask us, how did we feel? And we would always say, fantastic, terrific, great, all day long. And that was our chant for the day. And that helped break the ice every day and helped us to stay motivated throughout the day.
To make you leave class confident, ready to work, ready to go, feel good about yourself. Not only was it an essential skill, but it was more of a mentality growth.
Interacting with people, it teaches you to become better at that instead of just walking past somebody and stop them, hey, how was your day? Or, just little things. People don't realize the impact that has. It helps you with them skills and mannerisms of life in general.
It helped me understand who I am as a person and how to communicate and how to get in different positions where people would want to hire me, no matter what I went through or where I was at before this. Right now, I work for All Service Contractor Courtney. And it's amazing, man. We do all type of stuff dealing with water filtration systems nationwide.
It's changed my life in an amazing way. I now work at Carson Healthcare. I am a peer recovery support specialist, and I work with people on a daily basis. So I'm giving back what has truly been given to me.
Richland changed my life for the better by giving me a goal, a path to walk through. When you graduate high school with not such a good of a GPA or no football scholarships, Richland gives you that opportunity to redeem yourself and figure out who you want to be and where you want to go. It's most definitely a step stool, and they're there for you through everything, through every step of the way. I work for Fuyao Glass, Illinois, and I am a closing in specialist.
I work at Caterpillar, and I'm a welder. It's changed my life for the future because I actually have a gainful employment now. It's something that I can retire from. I need to do everything that I can, to stay at this job. It helps me focus that much more on doing the things that I need to do instead of what I'm not supposed to be doing.
I'm working for Marvin Keller Trucking, and again, it's close to home. They're a great company. Being able to pursue this dream has changed my life. What I would like to say to Richland Community College is thank you. I can't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart. Again, I wouldn't be able to pursue this career had it not been for them.
If you don't know what's your next step, Richland, it's most definitely what it is.
Me getting out of prison, coming here 2-3 months after prison, if it wasn't for Richland, I don't know what I would be doing right now. They actually, helped me and guided me helped me get employment.
To the people at Richland, man, I would say I'm extremely appreciative. It was a blessing. I feel like a lot of people went out their way to help me out. I just want to say thanks to the whole Richland community, especially Essential Skills program and the industrial skills.
Amen. Thank you so much. Heather, I'll entertain any questions if there are any. I do want to say this. The young man that I'm extremely proud of him simply because he came through our program, was released from prison, the darker skinned one, not the one with the gold teeth and the cornrows. He's doing phenomenal as well. But I'm extremely impressed by this other young man. We have so many success stories, but this young man came out of prison, didn't know what he was going to do. And it's, it's easy to place individuals without a record. That's the reason why I like to highlight individuals with the record, because people seem to have a hard time placing them. I didn't know it was so hard placing them until I started dealing with people that didn't have a record. Amen. But so he came out of prison, came through our program, went to work for All Service, making $45 an hour, free insurance, free housing and board, free per diem, so he didn't have to spend money on gas. And he received food vouchers. A year later, he got full custody of his daughter after he bought a car, bought a home, and the mother of his beautiful baby allowed him to have full custody of his child. And that just did my heart extremely well, because I believe in the power of being a raising children by showing them how to be a father, an active father, a relevant father, a nurturing father, a present father. And he's really doing some phenomenal work outside of who he is in his workplace, but as a father as well. So just hats off to that young man. And we've challenged our the circle of courage outside of the institution. We've challenged it. President Valdez, I have these crazy ideas, and you say, okay, let's see what it do. And I shared this with Don one time. We brought an individual from one of the roughest sides of Chicago. They call it O Block. If anybody on the phone is from Chicago, they'll know what I'm talking about. O Block is one of the reason why it's the roughest, because it's like right down the street from the jailhouse, right? And a lot of criminal activities being practiced in that area. We took him from Chicago, put him in the city of Decatur, and was arguably one of the roughest cities or areas in the city of Decatur, Wabash Crossing. I see some folks online that's from Decatur, so they would agree with me. And we provided a safe place for that young man and a place of belonging. We sent him through our workforce training, gave him the proper essential skills while he was going through our training. And now he's a welder and has received a level of self-sufficiency. And that young man said for the first time, he's been able to walk down the street without being afraid. And so the ideal of belonging, mastery, independence, and generosity truly works outside of the institution as well, if you apply it the correct way. And that's all I have. I'm a Black Baptist preacher. If you give me too much time, I'll take the full hour. So I'll end with that. That's my conclusion.
Well, I appreciate you both so much for being here and sharing your insights and your best practices, your models, your stories. I think, as I'm reflecting on what you all shared, like a lot of times I see essential skills as about, okay, preparing for employment, preparing for the employer, like what does the employer want? And while that is important, right, and valuable, there's a human component to all this, right? The story shared, the photos you all shared, like these essential skills are not just so you're a good worker, right? They are for you as a human being, as a person who wants to lead a fulfilling life, however that looks for you, right? What kind of family you want, where you want to live, what kind of job you want, what kind of person you want to be. And I think it's such a great reminder, and the way that you all think so holistically about individuals, right, is not just a pipeline towards employment, right? But as people, right?
Well, certainly.
Folks in the world who need those skills and have grappled with them, right? They're not empty vessels, right? They have grappled with them, but they've struggled with them too. right? So supporting them in those reflective processes is just so incredible.
Most certainly. Because it's ultimately about treating and getting back to treating each other as human beings, because that's what we are, right? And that has proven to be the best work. It's extremely important. I mean, and ultimately, we can't get down to the job skills if we don't first tackle what's going on with the person, right? And so at Richland Community College, we're transitioning to be a more resilient, focused school. Every individual that comes through that works for under Enrich, they're trained in trauma and resiliency. And quite naturally, the college itself is training each staff member trauma and resiliency so that they can respond better to not just each other, but to the participants that come on to the campus of Richland Community College, because it's just important, especially in a time and day like this, in the climate in which we live. Yeah.
Yeah, what you shared about being socially awkward society and then moving to socially distance, it's like, oh, that is so true, right? Like we all got used to this tech, social media kind of world.
Mhm.
You get to kind of hide behind that. And then you go in person, you were awkward. And now we've all been like not in person and we're especially awkward. And
Right.
is it the elbow bump? Is it just
Right.
in the air? Like, what do we do now, you know?
Yeah, most certainly. I have an individual, and I'm about love and hugs, right? So now when I see people, I'm like, it's hard to be,
Yep.
it's hard to be me, and without that level of independence, it becomes an awkward situation. And so, yeah, you are absolutely correct. Here, what we practice in essential skills is first, let's suppress our egos, eliminate the facade, and get down to who the individual truly is, and let that come up and build off that. Or else if we don't, we're building off a facade, and then, that means it's not real. So yeah, we love this particular work. Wouldn't you agree, Dawn? She's like, wait a minute, let me unmute myself.
No, I'm trying to unmute.
Amen.
Absolutely. Love this work, see the power of it. It's been a wonderful journey being part of WEI, the Workforce Equity Initiative, and learning so much. As you can imagine, we have a wonderful consortium meetings because we get to all share videos and student spotlights and stories. And so it usually after a nice 2-hour meeting, we all walk away from it just uplifted and in knowing that we're doing really good work. Heather, there was a question in chat that I wanted to make sure to address. Courtney, I'm not sure if you had any thoughts on this. I had some thoughts. Was there a difference? It says, Susanna, was there a difference between how faculty envision core competencies and employer perspective? And if so, how were those differences managed? And I just wanted for GP, when the 85 community members designed the performance indicators underneath the competencies, we were not creating those just for ICC. So this wasn't a large faculty constituent group brought in to look at this. This was designed for our regional partners. So we did have educational partners participate on the committees that formed those competency and performance measures, but they were provosts and administrators, I'd say. There were some high school instructors that were part of the groups. Heather, I think you were helping lead those groups, so you remember. So now when I have this tool and we're sharing it with faculty members at ICC, I just have a couple that are starting to use it. We're still in the early stages here. This has been our first year. So fall semester was the first semester where we had launched the system. Spring semester, we've got some coming on. We have a business faculty member and an English faculty member. And, as I mentioned, it's extremely flexible. The tools are extremely flexible. So I do believe that they're taking them and then nuancing their curriculum and their instruction not following it step by step according to our curricular materials or anything like that. And that is how we designed it, so that each facilitator instructor would be able to target for their constituent group. And Courtney, I don't know, do you have any comments on that regarding the essential skills that you're using, and if faculty members at Richland have buy-in?
Yeah, so what we've been able to do is with those, I like to call them competencies are measurements. And we had the business community, educational community, I think 80 persons in one room, and we asked them the question that you posed earlier in your presentation: what would you like to see? And what are some of the issues dealing with individuals as human beings coming into the workplace? And high on the list was the essential skills component, right? And they didn't know that they were calling them essential skills, but however, they wanted somebody that would show up and not be toxic to the environment, right? Versus it was like, we don't necessarily need the person to have the technical skill. We just need them to show up, and we can teach the technical skills, because that part they don't have the time to teach. So we were able to respond to our business community in that way. And then our educational community shared the same issue. They just don't have young people and or individuals that's going into higher education that has the I want to say the fortitude to want to stay in the classroom and are motivated to stay in the classroom. So our essential skills, not only does it inspire us, but it motivates individuals and really teach individuals how to become successful, right? Because that's a teaching within itself. You got to have the mindset to stay put even when you want to quit. You know what I'm saying? And so it teaches that. If I answered the question, I hope that I did the best way that I could. But yeah, so it's Sister Dawn said it perfectly. It is flexible, and you can tailor those components to fit your area. And at the end of the day, it's more than the competencies. It's really about treating individuals as humans. Because what we receive is a male not wanting to be supervised by a woman. He might be triggered by that, whatever that may be. So we have to teach that. Or a Black and or white person being supervised by the opposite race. That's a difficult task for some people, right? And utilizing the language that triggers the opposite race. So we go through that. And one of the most belonging exercises today are synonyms. When individuals want to be called a certain, or want to be identified in a certain kind of way. And if I'm the kind of person that's against that, then as an individual, I don't independently feel like I belong in this space. So how do I master the task at hand if I don't independently feel like I belong there? So thus far, I'm leaving. And so through that particular training, we've been able to see institutions' culture like become extremely great, because we're sensitive to each other's needs and concerns and wants for the most part. So it's been beautiful.
And if you all were able to attend to, and if not, there's a recording of it. But yesterday, Dr. Salcedo spoke to critical race theory and how it shows up and how we show up, right? And I think even some of what you're sharing in terms of, they spoke to like microaffirmations, right? So the microaggressions individuals might experience throughout the day, how you can be someone who's countering that, right? With microaffirmation, who they are, their identity, and right, would encourage, I think a lot of what's been shared here today connects a lot with what Dr. Salcedo shared, and would just really encourage you all to start to connect those dots and begin to grapple with all these different pieces.
Most certainly. Yep.
But we do have a few moments. I don't know if there's any additional questions. And again, please feel free to unmute yourself or put those in the chat, or Don or Courtney, any other kind of, if you knew what you, oh, here we go. There's a question, but also just starting to think, if knowing what you know now, would you have done anything differently or thought about things differently as you began your essential skill journey, but I'll let you address the question first.
Was that directed towards me or us? If it was us, then I'll submit, allow, and not allow, but ask Dawn if she wanted to take that question first.
Oh, policy wish list. Whoa. What else can we include? Yes, the WEI, I know that we did, we are starting to get, attention on the national level with the Workforce Equity Initiative. We presented at Achieving the Dream, and my boss works on those sorts of meetings and ICCB. So Jennifer Foster is our main champion, man.
Yes.
Oh man. And at Illinois Community College Board, and Brian Durham. And so, what could be done? How can it be replicated to receive federal funding so that initiatives like this can be supported in other places? I did, going to the Achieving the Dream conference, I attended quite a few presentations, and there are similar initiatives popping up across the country, and so it was just fascinating to watch these presentations. I think that we want to be able to, it's been a piloted group, 19 community colleges, but it needs to spread and become statewide initiative, needs to be supported so that it can happen and be the type of style or model that can be replicated at most of the community colleges, because we're removing barriers for the students at such a high level. And it can be, expensive, but it is, but the success outcomes are proving that it's worth it. And so on our website, there's some good documents. You can see the success outcomes and how they compare against the national and state level. We know that it's the model that's worthy. And we'll hear that from our college presidents. They're often like, man, we need just to do this for everybody, So the students get full support, remove all barriers. We have navigators, and that's been the key point where an individual comes in to the intake process, and we're able to hear what needs are there, and then we can remove any barriers to the educational attainment, provide them with additional supports through community-based organizations, provide them with these high-level training services like the essential skills. We'll have employment specialists, navigators. A lot of the schools will then have the employment navigation going on. And so they're just wonderful full-scale services for individuals to be successful.
Yeah.
Wish list, the big thing, mental health counseling. A lot of the schools move towards increased services for counseling services. I think Richland's trauma sensitive training for that is needed for a lot of our schools participating. Courtney, do you have other elements?
And just a housing component. What we've piloted was a kind of ecosystem. When we brought the young man in from Chicago, the city provided the housing, we provided the training, and another individual provided the furniture so that he wouldn't have to be forced to utilize his paycheck in the beginning to furnish his house. So a housing component would provide a well-rounded kind of training that would be remarkable for our participants. And another individual asked, have we had any success virtually with our training? We have, most certainly. Everything that we do in person, we have the capabilities to do online and through Zoom. We were challenged by the pandemic, so we had to be forced to produce a training via Zoom. Now, for me, I like to be in person, but however, we do have that capability. We've been challenged with that, and it came out to be, it turns out it was successful. So if the first question, for sure, if we had some substantial housing policy tied to workforce equity initiative, that would be great. And yes, we do have abilities to utilize essential skills on virtually. Yep.
And Courtney, I think I would say one other thing for the wish list. As a consortium, we all had our equity training that we're all doing together, and we had our speakers come in, and one topic was, developing employer partners in this equity initiative. And so what you're doing with the employers.
Oh, yes.
Man,
most certainly.
If we could scale that up, because that's incredible.
So I failed to share that. What we, Sister Heather, I know the time is cut short. What we typically do is we'll have 10 employers come in a week before our participants graduate. And it's not a job fair, it's job interviews for our participants. So typically what happens is our participants leave that day with literally, some have had 6 job offers in one day. So, a lot of people, they go months searching for a job and then months trying to get the interview. Well, in our training, a week before graduation, you're able to interview with 10 employment of our employer partners here in the city of Decatur, and now outside of Decatur, because they're coming from Bloomington and Peoria now. So that's a plus. So it's been working out extremely well. So people always ask me, how are you guys getting them employed? I say, well, we cheat. We bring the employers to us. Right. So it's been a beautiful situation here at Richland. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Sister Donna. I truly appreciate that. And also tied to our workforce equity initiative is an entrepreneurship training, minority mentor protege program that we have, where we individuals that have an idea to be an entrepreneur, we couple them with a company that's willing to mentor them, give them their first contract, and then after a year, let them go off on their, push the bird out of the nest, as if you will, and let them go out on their own. And that's been extremely successful as well. So we have an entrepreneurship tied to our particular practice, and we use essential skills for that as well. So it's been beautiful. Thank you so much, Don, for bringing that back to memory. I almost forgot about that. Yep.
And it's a perfect and important cheat, right? Is like the employers have to change the way that they're showing up too, right?
Most certainly.
Essential skills, and you're not just going to get this. We're not all ready to go. There's still work I'm doing on my own essential skills every day, every moment. I was stressed out the other day and I couldn't make a very clear decision, right? Things I multiple times and I just couldn't. I was so kind of bogged down and blinded by that stress, right? We all need to show up differently. We all have quote unquote skin in the game, right? And if we don't feel that, if we don't see a role in it, then we need to find that role, because we all have that role to play. And just what you all are doing for your communities, what you're doing to support folks, problematize them, right? Like get them reflecting, get them thinking and understanding their role, and where they're doing well and where there's room for growth, and supporting them on the steps to do that growth, right? I just think it's so incredibly valuable, and just appreciate you, Courtney and Don, for sharing today and the work that you do, and that all of you all were able to attend today. And again, if you have any other questions, Don and Courtney shared their contact info, and not to put them on the spot for that, but they're incredible collaborators. And, if you email them, I'm pretty confident they're going to respond and connect with you and share additional insights and resources. So please don't hesitate to reach out to either one of them. They're just incredible resources and experts in this space.
Thank you.
There we go. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Enjoy the weather. Hope you can get a walk today, or a jog or a run, maybe if you're wild here. But I'll stick to walking. I got 2 dogs. That's enough of a workout. Thank you all so much.